Hello everybody and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be looking at 5 of the best meta builds currently available for PvP. It's pretty tough to say what is the top 5 currently, as there are lots of different builds that are strong, and since the game is still in its early stages, new things are still being discovered every day. And that is why you should hit the subscribe button, because on this channel I'll be constantly keeping up to date with all the new gimmicks and fun discoveries, as well as trying to create my own. This video is in collaboration with a friend of mine and fellow content creator, Steel Stielovski. So if you're looking for more genuine Elden Ring creators to check out, then his link will be in the description below. Now let's move straight on to the juicy details and the reason why you are here. And let's jump straight into the build that has been chosen for today's number 5. So sitting at number 5 we have the Rivers of Blood Katana. So yeah, you're probably familiar with this one. Now as I said, there are a lot of very strong builds that could have easily taken the number 5 spot, but the Rivers of Blood Katana is such a hot topic right now since the latest patch, because the fix to the arcane scaling really made this weapon a popular pick. And if you've done some PvP already, then you've more than likely run into this a few times. Now what makes this weapon so strong is its weapon art, the Corpse Piler. If your build is scaled with arcane and you catch someone with it, you're going to deal some pretty nasty damage and some bleed build up. If your opponent has no armor or low amount of HP, then you can potentially finish this fight in just a few slashes. It's definitely considered a quote-unquote casual stomper, and will win the majority of matchups that it comes up against. However, if you do come up against an experienced player who knows how to deal with it, you may not find as much success, and could even find yourself getting parried quite easily, and that's why it's going to be sitting at today's number 5. If you'd like to try this build out for yourself, I recommend meeting your weapon requirements of the strength and dex, and stacking most of the points into arcane. And you can also feel free to play around with different kind of talismans, but I find these to work quite well with the successful hits, and they go well with the bleed builds too. So there you have it, our number 5, and we're off to a good start, right? I know that some of you are probably thinking, but Rivers of Blood is like the most OP shit in the game right now. How is that sitting at number 5? Well, stick around and let's check out some more. Number 4. Now this is a very strong entry. Here we have the Colossal Greatsword. The OG Ultra Greatsword, the Guts Berserk Sword, whatever you want to call it. Now with this build, you're not just going to be swinging this massive thing around and trading hyper armor hits. You're actually going to be dashing around the battlefield like a shinobi from For Honor, which looks absolutely ridiculous, but is extremely effective and tough for most people to deal with. So the aim of this build is to catch rolls and punish recoveries. You can use the Bloodhound Step weapon art to evade incoming attacks and spells and quickly punish your opponent with a very fast prod that deals massive damage. What also works well is once you get up close and personal is the Crouch R1. If you didn't know, instead of doing a regular slow attack that can be easily evaded, if you crouch and quickly press the light attack, you will do a fast poke that is amazing for catching panic rolls, as you can see here. If your opponent just decides to attack you back, using the Spear Talisman will grant you a massive counter attack damage boost, which will help you with most trades and finish your opponent before he can finish you. So once you get the feel and the flow going with the build and the moveset, it's actually extremely fun to play, especially invasions when you are outnumbered by numerous enemies. So if you would like to try this build for yourself, I recommend plenty of strength. I like having mine around 56, since two-handing the weapon will bump that up to about 80ish, because if you didn't know, when you two-hand your weapon, your strength actually increases by 150%. And I also want plenty of HP for trades, so the main talismans here that I like are the Spears Talisman, which is important, and the rest are for pretty much equipment load and poise. So there we have a very solid number 4. I have actually done separate videos showcasing both of these builds so far, so if you do want to check them out after this video, I highly encourage you to do so, and you can see more of it in live action for yourself. So if you're still here, then congrats, you made it to the juicy stuff. Now let's waste no time and dive right in to number 3. So we decided that this spot belongs to the good old Dual Cross Nagakibis. These things are an absolute nightmare to fight against with their range and insane damage when upgraded correctly. Now on the left hand, we have the Blood Nagakibi with Seppuku, in which you will use to buff yourself right at the start of the fight. And on the right hand, we have an Occult Refined Nagakibi with the weapon art Royal Knight's Resolve that will buff that weapon too. So same as the Ultra Greatsword build, the Spears Talisman is important for this one because you will get the thrust counter damage when trades occur. These things have the ability to melt your opponent in seconds. The running L1 is extremely strong and does some serious damage on a roll catch. So if you want to try this build for yourself, I would pump some stats into Arcane, much like the Rivers of Blood build. And as far as talismans go, pretty much the same as previous. The Spear's Talisman and the other ones that are good for Equip Load and Poise. So yeah, have fun absolutely obliterating the majority of your opponents. So, you're still here, which means that you're really interested in seeing what broken shit is here in the top 2. Well yeah, I said it, you know, these next 2 are completely broken, and FromSoft really need to nerf these ASAP. As well as the previous stuff that I've shown, to be fair, but more so these last ones especially. Alright, so number 2. Sitting at the number 2 spot, which realistically this one is joint first place with the next one, is the Moonveil Poise build. Everyone knows how annoying the Moonveil is, but it's even more annoying when stacked with Poise and the Dragon Bolt Blessing spell, becoming one of the best trading weapons in the game, and let me show you why. So Mr. Stielovski, the guy that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, has done a full video dedicated to this build, so if you want to check that out after this video, then visit his link in the description below. But the main thing with this build is that you are basically going to trade with most builds you come across, and by trade I mean like you take 20% and deal 80%. Not a fair trade at all. But basically at the start of the fight you cast your Dragon Bolt Blessing spell, you stand there charging your weapon art and watch your opponent's attack bounce off you and then immediately hit them with a light or a heavy. So I recommend using the light because it's much more practical in my opinion, as you'll land that a lot more than the heavy. Also it's faster and you can apply pressure at a long distance too. The heavy is useful though for if your opponent backs off and heals, and you can just take that HP straight back off them. If you want to copy this build, then you will want to meet the weapon requirements of strength and dex, and then stack a lot of points into intelligence. You will need to have 16 faith for the spell and enough endurance. So the spell that we're using, the Dragon Bolt, actually requires 21 faith, but instead of putting 21 faith you can just do 16, and then at the beginning of the fight you can use the 2-finger Heirloom Talisman, which will add the 5 points that you need to be able to use the spell. So once you've buffed yourself, you can switch out that talisman to whatever else you want, and the rest of the tallies required will be equipment load and poise. Now this build is actually a soft counter to the fingerprint shield build. I fought one today, as you can see here, and had some success, which felt extremely satisfying since this shield build doesn't really have a solid counter just yet. So that brings us to number 1, which of course, spoiler alert, is the fingerprint shield. As I said, this build doesn't really have a counter, and most people you come up against will probably kill themselves or return home. Can't blame them honestly, but let's take a deeper look. So here we are, number 1, the fingerprint shield, which is probably the most broken meta currently as far as we know. When using this with a Poison Grey EP or Bloody Helios, this thing is an absolute nightmare. Just 2-3 quick pokes with the EP and your opponent will be poisoned, and then you can quickly switch to the Bloody Helios and start building up some bleed. But honestly, any thrusting weapon or spear or anything that you use with the shield, you will most likely win. Unless, of course, you come up against a Poise Moonveil player that knows what he's doing, but that's quite rare. Well, maybe after this video more people will do it. But in an ideal world, all of this shit will be nerfed quickly anyway, and we can start to see more variety builds at the top. I know that a lot of people are sick of this shit. Rivers of Blood, Moonveils, I see people complaining about them all the time. The aim of this video is to help bring more awareness to these builds so that FromSoft can nerf them quickly. None of us want this shit in the game, trust me. So if you would like to try this build for yourself, meet the requirements of your shield at 48 strength and pack whatever you want into your weapon scalings and requirements. So there we have it. You know, as I mentioned before, I'm not saying that these are the best free builds out there currently, but these are 5 very well known and popular ones amongst the competitive players. But there are still so many others out there that could have easily made this video. You know, so do expect some more of this kind of stuff from me. The game is not even a month old yet, so you know, new things are still being discovered every day. So be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of it. Thanks everybody for watching. If you made it this far, I have a PvP build playlist in my outro with plenty of videos in there. If you want to check out some of those other videos, I think you'll enjoy them a lot. So have a great day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care and goodbye.